Welcome to Hypnotic Authenticity. This is a place to reflect, a place to unwind perhaps, to understand yourself a little better, and to gently reshape the patterns that guide your life. A little bit like a conversation between you and your deeper self. So I'm offering a sprinkling of hypnosis, insight, some meditative guidance, and it's all going to be woven throughout a deep sense of practicality. So that if I do my job well, each episode is going to help you feel more grounded, also more open, and more authentically you. So if you're ready, let's begin. I'm going to do a video today to help you if you're looking to regulate your emotions, if you're looking to get your emotions back on your side. If you find yourself easily triggered, or you find yourself easily teary, or you find yourself easy to upset or get angry or frustrated or even fire up into a ball of rage, and you know you've gone too far and you'd like to do something different, then that's what I'm going to talk about today. Okay. So in this beautiful environment, I thought there was nothing better to talk about than sort of emotional serenity. And personally, what I've come to understand is that part of the skill of emotional balance or emotional serenity comes from permitting yourself the full reign of emotions, in actual fact. Once you know that everything is okay, no matter how wide your emotions may stretch, well, then you're more inclined to trust yourself. So that's just my kind of intuitive understanding from what I've seen working through many, many people. So I'm lucky enough to have an individual here who doesn't want to be part of the video. So you're only going to see me on the video, but I'm going to offer her a hypnotic induction, which is geared to resolving this in a way that someone watching the video who is not the same individual may be able to benefit. Okay, so that's complicated, okay, because that means on my video I've got two clients at the same time. I've got one who's in front of me, and I've got one out there in video land that I don't know, okay, that I can only guess. So let me explain to you the story of the individual, and then you can see if you relate to that. Okay, so with this individual, basically what she's looking for is better emotional stability. So rather than becoming triggered and ending up wanting to cry or wanting to become very, very angry, instead to be able to take things in a stride, okay, instead being able to relativize, okay. And so we walked through before this video an understanding of, okay, so tell me then, if I was going to do what you are going through, how would I do it? Okay, so rather than just assuming that it is part of what you are, really think about the steps that it takes to get you to the point where you have the emotional outburst, because it can be quite illuminating to see that as a doing rather than as a being. And so the story is that there'll be an event, something that occurs, something that is triggering. It might be people at work who, you know, are not allowing her to get on with her work and allowing her the focus that she needs to be able to get on with her work because they're just messing around. It could be somebody saying something which is very upsetting, or that reminds her of something in the past which she found upsetting, and so it creates an emotional response inside of her. But equally for you, it could be anything which is triggering, okay? It could be someone cutting you up in traffic. The principle is the same, okay? So there is a trigger. But the thing is, you don't necessarily notice the trigger because the trigger is rooted in something in your subconscious or something in your past, some pain point which gets triggered by something in the environment at the moment, okay? So for her, the first thing that she actually notices, the moment that she realizes this, is when she realizes that her heart rate has increased. Swallowing in the throat, maybe a tightness or a dryness in the throat. Then the next thing that she notices is an ability to start negative self-talk, talking to herself in bad, unhelpful ways. And then finally, this kind of emotional outburst, which triggers either tears or, interestingly, laughter
or anger or frustration or rage. And so instead of all that, what she would like is that when she notices the heart rate racing, to be able to take a pause, to be able to relativize that other people are doing whatever other people are doing, that it's not necessarily about her, and so to be able to bring her emotions back into kilter, no matter effectively what might be going on outside. So if that, I'm sorry, that's a sort of a long-winded explanation, but if you relate to that, then that is what I'm going to be providing a solution for in this video. So if you would like to experience a hypnotic, meditative glow, let's call it, if you would like to allocate 15-20 minutes to yourself, to look after yourself, to trust yourself, to relate to yourself in a deeper, more constructive, more helpful, perhaps more loving way, then watch on. And as usual with these recordings, it's important that I say to you, please only pay attention to my words, only watch this video or listen to this recording when it is safe and when it's appropriate to do so. Do not listen to my words, do not pay attention to the video or the recording whilst driving, whilst operating machinery. Only do so when it is completely appropriate to do so, because I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. With that in mind, it's best if you can find a spot where you are reasonably sure you'll be left alone, that you won't be disturbed, and settle down. It doesn't matter whether you're sat or laid. During the process, if you wish to shuffle around, you can do so. I would recommend that you start the process with your eyes open, but whenever you choose to do so, it's perfectly okay to close your eyes. They will not clamp shut and be stuck. And you will, in actual fact, be able to come out of the recording at any time that you choose to. You will not get stuck in hypnosis. But go along with it with a sort of an open-minded sense of curiosity. There are no right answers, no wrong answers, and just engage with it and set yourself the intention that you're going to simply look after yourself and see where you might end up. So with that in mind, if you are willing, happy, eager, interested, curious to know how this might feel, willing to open up to potentially a new experience, then what I would suggest that you do is you take in a good deep breath and hold the breath and let that breath go. And I don't know if you want to keep your eyes on the video or if you just want to gaze up at a spot on the ceiling, as you wish. But keep your eyes open and keep your eyes trained on the same spot, taking in a second good deep breath. Hold that breath and let that breath go. Maybe you can already notice your body embracing a sense of stillness. As we're taking a third good deep breath, holding the breath, and as you let that breath go, just allow your eyes to close if they're still open. Breathe normally. Notice the stillness in your body. Perhaps notice where your body is most still. And if you can hear the gurgling of the water behind me, maybe you want to pay attention to that beautiful sound of water. If there are sounds around you, I promise you they won't disturb you. Just don't pay attention to them. Just focus on that spot inside your body where you find the most stillness, the most comfort. Because a person can always find the place inside their body which is most still. And as you follow your breathing, maybe you can imagine breathing in peace, and breathing out any tension. And as you breathe in peace, allow your eyelids to become very heavy. Very heavy. And as you breathe out any tension, allow those eyelids to become so heavy, so deeply relaxed that they just won't work. And as you allow those eyelids to become so deeply heavy, droopy, drowsy, imagine that they're completely clamped shut to the point where they just won't work. And when you're sure that with the power of your imagination they just won't work, give them a try. Give them a really good try. Satisfy yourself that when you imagine things, your body responds. And then when you're satisfied, just stop testing and send that wave of relaxation from those eyelids all the way to the top of your head, all the way down to the tips of your toes. A powerful wave of relaxation flooding the whole of your body, down throughout the whole of your body, sending a gentle, gentle sense of stillness. Because this is a moment just for you. And if your emotions can become haywire sometimes, then it's even more important that you just allow this to flood over you very, very easily, very comfortingly, very comfortably. Because there's nothing to do here, nothing to say, nothing to act upon, nothing to prove. It's just a moment for you to look after yourself. And so with your eyes closed, and perhaps you're even already noticing a slight fluttering sensation of those eyelids, what I'd encourage you to do, not now, but in a moment, I'm going to ask you to open and then to close your eyes back down. And what I want you to imagine doing is that when you close your eyes back down, you double this feeling of relaxation, every nerve and fiber in your body. So now just open your eyes, look at the screen or look at the wall in front, and close those eyes back down and doubling that feeling of relaxation. Every nerve, every fiber, every muscle loose and limp and totally at ease, completely relaxed, completely fine. Because you can trust yourself here in this moment. And the more you notice what you notice, the more you can become aware of your inner experience. Now in a moment I'm going to ask you to repeat that process. So just open your eyes, look at the screen or look up at the wall, and close those eyes back down, doubling that feeling of relaxation once again, doubling it in every nerve, every fiber of your body. Just imagining a set of rubber bands tumbling to the floor, every muscle in your body loose and limp, totally comfortable. Perhaps you can notice a real sense of heaviness in your arms and in your elbows. Maybe there's a tingling sensation in your ankles or your toes. Perhaps you can become aware of the support of the chair or the bed that you're sitting upon. Perhaps you can become aware of the sensation of the texture of the clothing that surrounds you. And we'll do that one more time. So just open your eyes and close those eyes back down again, doubling that sense of relaxation once more. Every muscle in your body just completely comfortable. And so now as your body is very, very still, very easy, very simple, perhaps parts of your body actually feel quite heavy. But I don't know what's going on in your mind, and maybe your mind is wondering. And if so, that's perfectly okay. Because what we're going to do now is to invite your mind to become just as relaxed as your body. And the way that we're going to do this today is I'm going to ask you to start in your mind counting backwards from 100. very, very slowly. And I'll count them out with you on the video. But what I want you to do is, with each number that you count backwards, to double the relaxation in your mind as well as in your body. And if you can imagine how powerful it is to double the relaxation in your mind with each number, then maybe you can imagine that very, very rapidly, maybe by 98, maybe even sooner, they just want to kind of relax away. They just want to disappear. And understand that I can't make you lose those numbers. This is something that you will choose to do yourself at the rate and the pace that's right for you. But I want you to imagine what it feels like at the moment that those numbers are sent away. Because that's the moment of pure clarity, pure, crisp simplicity, tranquility, peace in your mind. And I wonder what that might feel like for you. And so now what I would invite is that you start counting backwards in your mind from 100, very slowly. 100. Doubling that relaxation in your mind and in your body. 99. Doubling again that feeling of relaxation in your mind and in your body. 98. Doubling that feeling of relaxation in your mind and in your body, and then sending them away. Just let them be gone. Because there's no need to hold on to them. They're completely unnecessary. Let them go. Choose to relax them away. Maybe you can imagine them floating up in the sky. Maybe they're already gone. Maybe you want them to just disappear beyond the horizon. Whatever feels right. Whatever feels easiest. Because we're here just to look after you. And so perhaps you can imagine yourself taking a seat or laying down in your favorite comfortable spot. Your perfect safe space. Maybe it's somewhere from your memory, maybe it's somewhere from your imagination, but to get a sense of how good it feels in your safe space. Because we're here to resolve this issue of emotions that are going slightly too far. And the way that we're going to do that is by taking a look at what you're doing currently. So if you can imagine a recent scene, situation, event which triggered you, where you noticed your heart rate, you noticed that emotional surge, perhaps you noticed that negative inner chatter beginning. And I want you to find that emotion in your body. Find that feeling. Maybe it's the tightness in the throat. Maybe it's the pounding in the chest. And when that happens, I want you to imagine that feeling shrinking, 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 because you have a moment to pause, a moment to notice the emotion before reacting. I want you to see that scene whenever you can remember the last time that this event occurred. But I want you to see this scene as a cartoon scene. Maybe you're wearing cartoon shoes, cartoon sunglasses, cartoon clothes. Maybe the people that are triggering you, or the event which is triggering you, they're driving in cartoon cars. Whatever it is, allow that situation to look completely absurd and play the scene in your mind. Maybe you can add some cartoon music to the scene as you're doing it. Make the scene as ridiculous as you can. And notice what you notice. Allow the scene to end, zip it back to the beginning. Make it even smaller, even smaller, even smaller, almost as if it's the size of a postage stamp. Flick it over the horizon. Because that event need never bother you again. What I'd like you to do is to imagine all of the troubling emotions that made up that scene before it was gone. I'd like you to imagine walking from your safe place now. In front of you, I don't know, maybe you can imagine there's like some sort of a sacred sanctum with a beautiful dome. It might be white or grey, but it's very peaceful. It's just made for 1 or 2 or 3 individuals. It's fairly small but comfortable. And you can walk through. And I want you to imagine as you walk through, air blowing up from the center of the dome, and little pieces of paper floating around in the dome, in the ball, in the sanctum. Some of these pieces of paper are white. Some of them are a different color. And I don't know what that different color might be to you, but if you can imagine the feeling of those negative emotions, what color that might be. And I'd like you to imagine those little pieces of paper taking on that color. And as the wind blows, all of these pieces of paper can stick to the ceiling of the dome. So most of the ceiling is filled with beautiful white pieces of what look like paper. But there's a few that are this other color that make up all of that negative emotion, that powerful triggering response. And as you look at them and you see them, I wonder if you can reach up and start pulling all of the colored pieces of paper, all of the little pieces of what look to be paper anyway, that represent that painful emotional response. And I want you to take your time and pick them all off of the ceiling. Pull them all off and throw them back down into the center. Take your time and make sure that you identify every single one until there are only white, peaceful pieces of paper. Throw all of those colored pieces of paper down into the hole in the center, and then allow the door, the gate, the portal to close so that the ceiling is filled with nothing but white, calm, peace. And maybe as you do so, you can imagine those pieces of what look like paper kind of spreading and bathing the whole of the inside of that domed inner sanctum in that white color. Because that white color represents all of the peace, all of the harmony, all of the simplicity, all of the truth, all of you, all of the real, deep, insightful you. And as you observe that, and notice what you notice, and take your time, you can follow your breathing, breathing in peace, and breathing out any remaining tension. Focusing on the peace in that inner sanctum, calm, loose, relaxed, simple. Because whenever you choose to do so, you can listen to my words again. You can rebuild your inner strength, your inner emotion, your inner peace. Bathing yourself in that beautiful calmness. I'm going to leave you just for a moment of peace to notice what you notice. Spread that white, calming peace from the dome throughout every corner of your body, bathing yourself in simplicity. Safe in the knowledge that whenever an event occurs in the future, where you notice that heart rate starting to quicken, you can remember this sense of peace. You can remember this inner dome. You can release those little pieces of colored, what looks like paper, and return to a sense of emotional calm, emotional balance, emotional you. Because you can trust yourself. And every time you listen to my words, you can become more adept at this, more skilled, until it's like second nature. And whenever you notice that your emotions start to be raised, you have a choice. You no longer need to react. You can instead respond. Choose, is this the moment? Is it reasonable? Is it relevant? Is this my problem? Or can I just focus on whatever is more important for me in the here and the now? And so with that in mind now, I'm going to bring you back up to a state of full and present awareness. But bringing with you this sense of security, this sense of understanding, this sense of inner beauty, inner tranquility, because you can always find the peace inside of yourself. And so on one, feeling absolutely wonderful, feeling like you've had an extra night's sleep, feeling completely rejuvenated, filled with energy. Counting up on 2 now, feeling as free on 3 as a bird. Free to be yourself, free to be the completely authentic you. Free and thankful to exist in this universe and be as joyful and playful as you choose. On 4 now, it's like fresh spring water is bathing your eyelids, whooshing through your mind, bringing you back up to a state of full and present awareness. On the next number 5, opening your eyes, taking in a good deep breath, shaking everything off, and maybe having a bit of a stretch, and come back up to the present moment. Welcome back. Enjoy. I hope that's a benefit. This is the sort of thing that you get better at. So I highly recommend that you repeat it over and over again until it's second nature, until you know that you can trust your emotions and you can start to emotionally calibrate. Yeah. If this has been useful, check out my other videos, subscribe. I've got a whole series of videos which are hypnotic inductions like this, which are completely off the cuff. You know, I'm just kind of offering you what comes to mind in the moment, and some of it will hit and some won't. Now, obviously, this is very different to a hypnotherapy session where I communicate with you and we do a proper thing. So this is my best guess when I'm only able to do so with 50% of the information that is required. But I hope it's of some benefit at least. There are other videos which is just kind of life hacks that are useful, practical things that you can use to engage with life in a more fruitful way, because for me, that's what this is all about. All right, thank you very much for watching. I hope that's a benefit. If so, check out the other videos, and as Tony Robbins says, go live life with passion. All right, take care. Cheers. Bye.
Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If it resonates with you, then follow my podcast. I would also personally be really grateful if you might wish to leave a quick rating. It genuinely helps others to discover the podcast. If you personally would like more guided meditations, you want some deeper insights, you'll find all my links in the description. If you prefer a more visual boost, then you might want to check out my YouTube channel called Authentic Life Hypnosis. And if you're looking to do some deeper work that goes beyond one-way audio, then obviously you're very welcome to reach out. Equally, if you have any questions, I'm here to help. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.